everybody. I'm from Shunda Christian College. My name is Melva Hash, and today I want to share what about the Ice Age? When we think about the Ice Age, we probably think about that movie, but here are some questions. When did these animals live? Where did these animals come from? How does the Bible help us understand the Ice Age? Well, when did these animals live? We all know that the animals were created by God around 4000 BC, and so all the animals came from that time. We also know that there only could be one ice age. How do we know that? We don't have an ice age because the world became colder. You have to have certain conditions to have an ice age. You must have a flood that is all over the world, and the flood has to come from not only rain falling, but also geological geological movement. You see, at the beginning, when God made the world, it seems that He made the land in one place and the seas in another place. We can see that in Genesis 1, 9 to 10. God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." So it seems like all of the land was in one place, and the water was in one place. So when Noah's flood happened, what happened? It was a lot of volcanoes and geological outbreak that caused the water to become warm, and the ash from the volcano to block the sun. So the oceans would be warm, causing evaporation and a lot of snow rainfall. But on the land, that snow would not melt in the summertime because of all of the ash and the clouds. We can see this in Genesis 7, verse 11, right? On that day, the day that the flood started, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. The fountains of the great deep, volcanoes coming out of the water. So, how did we get the Ice Age? It would have happened over years after the flood, continuous as the waters cooled, the ice on the land would form, and then the Ice Age would gradually disappear. But the Bible doesn't mention about the Ice Age, does it? Well, that's because people don't really notice just a few degrees different or not, unless it's a severe difference. We had a big catastrophe in more modern history just 200 years ago when Mount Tambora in Indonesia had a huge volcano. That was 1815. And the next year, 1816, was called the Year Without a Summer. It really changed the temperatures over the earth a few degrees, and that caused the crops to have problems, And even in Taiwan, where we are, the middle part of Taiwan, Miaoli area, had some snow reported, which we never hear of snow in Miaoli. And Jianhua had frost on the ground, and it doesn't have frost usually. That all happened in 1816 because Mount Tambora had erupted and put a lot of ash into the air, so that caused the temperatures to cool. But that wouldn't happen normally because the ocean is not usually warm, causing so much precipitation. Back after the flood, it was warm, and so that's why an ice age was formed. Now during that time, right, after Noah's flood, the animals left the ark and they spread out over all the land. The different animals, 2 by 2, went out, different kinds, like the elephants, and they would become different species of elephants, including the Indian, the African, and also the mammoth and the mastodon, the animals that we're familiar with during the Ice Age. So they would spread out over the earth, and it was caused because so much water was in the ice, they could move more easily to the different places in the earth. What about people? After Noah's flood, we know that they gathered together and stayed in one area until God separated them by changing their languages. And then they also would have moved to different parts of the world. And when they got there, they would have found the animals were there. So what about today? Will we have another ice age? No. It's impossible for us to have the conditions of an ice age because God promised us He will not flood the whole world and send that kind of catastrophe again. We know that even though we face change every day, God never changes. What He says is true. He has promised us that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And Jesus has said, "Surely I am with you always to the very end of the age."